have to say anything. She's gonna do all the talking today for me. I am here with these two cuties. You know, her head's on the other side, and because my hand is holding the leash, I can't really. There she is. All snuggled up. This is a gratitude post for sure. Just a big old thank you to the universe. I had been seeing signs for dating. So on my Facebook, things kept popping up with people being in relationships, announcing marriages, just couples. I'm telling you, the universe talks to us. And going for walks or hanging out in my backyard numerous times. 2 ducks would be flying by. And it's spring, right? It's that season for spring babies, which I'm gonna have to go down by the canal this week and go check and see if there's any spring ducklings. Oh my god, I love that time of the year. And but it would always be 2 flying. And then on my phone, especially when I'm using the video editing app that I use for these videos, and the advertisement would pop up, and dating apps kept popping up, and the one that kept popping up time and time again when I would edit the videos was Bumble. And I hung out with my friend Kate 2 weekends ago now, when the older kids were with Dave, and it was one of those. Sorry, Passato saw a puppy that he was super excited about, and they were super excited about him. But so yeah, so Kate and I had a really good hike, and I, for the first time, saw a cute boy on the hike, and even my friend Kate was like, you know, like, hey, and then he was talking about how they got their dog from the shelter, and it was like, oh, okay, so he's not available, but, you know, it kind of piqued that, well, I've been single for a year now, maybe I wouldn't mind almost a year, just about 11, just over 11 months, maybe I'd actually like to go on a date. And then I was driving, and I kept driving by breweries, and I was like, God, it would be so nice to just go out on a date at a brewery, enjoy a good burger and a beer and good conversation and good company, and just, right, touche, universe. I think I'm open to this whole dating idea, seeing where I'm at, seeing what I'm attracting, seeing what I need to work on, what I like, what I don't like. And so the ads just kept popping up for Bumble. I was like, fine, I will sign up for Bumble. Just like, I mean, it only took 2 with Peanut for me to sign up for Peanut to meet my friend Sandra. And then to realize, like, okay, that's the only reason why I'm on there, and now I can delete the app. So we'll see if it's the same thing with Bumble. But I finally listened Tuesday night. It is now Friday night. Obviously did not take long, because when you're in the flow, when you're in the quantum, when you're in the void, when you're zero, which I kept seeing those signs, the trucks drive by, 0 res, 0 res, 0, 0, and I was like, oh, That's what you're trying to say. Zero, the void, quantum, you're in the flow. That's just all the same thing, right? Like all saying the same thing. And I was like, oh, hey, okay, so I'm doing good. I'm listening. Like, I understood the grandma and Snicker signs, which, by the way, there was another Snicker sign that I did not get until tonight when I was walking this cutie. And I just had this overwhelming sense of Snickers and how much I missed them, and just some great memories that came back of watching Snickers and Passato play in the backyard when we first got Passato. And oh my god, they tore up our dirt backyard. They had so much fun running around. They would get so dusty, so dirty. And then when we moved into this house shortly after, and just the memories of Snickers and Passato playing in the kitchen, and they would knock teeth and they would growl, and they were just having a grand old time. Never once was there a concern of them fighting. Like, they just played rough and they loved it. And you know, so Snickers, I don't even know how old he was at the time, but Passato, when we got him, 7 months, super playful. So this was back in 2012. I don't know. I can't even do the math. And so, but Snickers was quite a bit older. I got him in 2007. And he was a year and a half, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 5, so 6.5-ish. And, so just those memories came back on the walk. And then it hit me that somebody was asking me recently about hiking Camelback. I had two people mention Echo Canyon and Camelback and hiking Camelback. And duh, that was Snickers too. Him and I always, like, we would hike Camelback together. And him, oh my gosh, such a little, like, mountain dog, I guess you could say. Just, like, scaling the rocks like nothing. Like, you know, there's me coming up behind him, and he's just like, and then I'm like, wait for me, you know, and if he didn't chase after rabbits, he would have been a great dog to just be off leash and just be like, okay, go ahead and I'll come. And he was part Chow, and Chows are known for being very independent. And so there was often times when he'd just wander off and be like, peace out, Mom. I'm gonna go do my own thing for a bit. No, dude, like, no. But great dog. And I did at the dog park, at Dog Beach. I would let him off leash, and he was great. But then that was like when we were leaving, he was like the little toddler who, like, we'd be leaving to go head back to the car, and he'd be off leash and he'd just start wandering off. Like, no, I'm not ready to go yet. No. And be like, no, dude, like, you actually have to come, like, where, you know. So, but like when we were on the beach, he'd be great and just playing. And so anyways, as always, I digress. So just talking about more signs. And so going back to hiking with my friend Kate and seeing this cute boy and just being like, and then driving by breweries and being like, I would love to go out on a date and see. Oh, that's what I was saying. So Tuesday night, thanks. I sucked it up and I was like, fine. Universe, fine. I will sign up for Bumble. That night, that next morning, I woke up to like 600 plus likes. And I was like, are you shitting me? How the hell am I supposed to... Okay, universe, if I'm supposed to meet somebody on here, like, you gotta make this a little easier. And so I did pay for the premium for like 1 month so that I could see who swiped on me. And so I'm looking through, just going off energy alone. No. And so there was one, and I looked at it, and I was like, okay. Like, I like the energy on this one, and swipe right, yes. And so ended up actually hitting it off. Like, dude could actually hold a conversation. Like, okay, sweet, this is awesome. Like, you know, instead of just a, hey, how's it going? What are you up to this weekend? What do you do for work? Like, there was like actual conversation where the messaging back and forth got to be pretty long, pretty quick. And so we started talking Wednesday. And then Thursday, I was like, well, tomorrow I want to go take myself out for a beer and a burger and, you know, congratulate myself for a lot of the hard work that I've been doing in clearing out her room, for remodeling it. And so we were talking, and I said something about inviting out for drinks, you know, and he was like, oh yeah, coffee. And I was like, yeah, that was totally not what I meant. But I ended up looking back at his profile and saw that he didn't drink, and I was like, oh, okay. So I initially agreed to coffee, only today to be like, no, I really want a burger and a beer, and talked to him and said, you know, like, hey, can we do that instead? My communication did not go that smoothly. It was more like, hey, I need to cancel because I'd rather do this, only to be like, you could have just asked them to do that instead. And then luckily made up the conversation and the misunderstanding and was able to clear that up and be like, no, like, I'd love it if you still joined me. I just wasn't sure how you felt about going out to a brewery with not drinking when I mentioned drinks earlier, and your response was coffee, and his response was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, no, that's fine. It doesn't bother me to be around people that drink. And, oh, okay, cool. So, note to self, I have a lot of work to do on communicating and I've been getting the signs for that one a lot, about learning how to communicate, being more clear, being more descriptive about what I'm trying to say, even like my cancellation policy, you know, like just being much more forthright, forthcoming, open, apparent, transparent, all whatever. Obviously, I need to work on communication. So yeah, and ended up hanging out with him tonight for about like an hour and a half, grabbing some dinner, and I enjoyed my beer. And it was just everything that I wanted, that I was craving, that I needed. Just good conversation. And he was cute. And he was nice. And he's sweet. He is. And just after we left, giving myself a pat on the back for being like, and you found him attractive. Good for you. Good for you. Like, could tell that he was actually like good energy, empathy, kind, sweet, working on himself, like therapy, EMDR, but like in a genuine sense, not in like a victimization sense. Just, it was so nice and so refreshing to see what I'm attracting, and it was exactly what I wanted, exactly what I needed. And I had been so against dating apps, because that was the thing when I was on the hike with Kate. I was like, okay, if the universe, like I'd love to go out on a date, but the universe needs to like drop them in my lap. Like, I don't have time and energy for this whole dating app thing. Universe was like, oh no, you're gonna do the dating app. You're gonna do it. And you're gonna learn how to trust your gut. And so that was a funny thing, is in the, I screenshot this one, but I probably shouldn't share people's faces on here. But in my profile, I had said something about like first date, or I said ideal date, hike followed by a brewery. Where are we going? And it was more so to see, like, hey, are you paying attention to my profile? Like, are you actually taking the time to read this? Or are you just judging me based on looks and you're not actually reading anything that I actually put in here? And so the cute guy that I felt like had good energy, and Lord knows there were a shit ton of swiping no. Like, I think I ended up swiping yes on like 3 out of the 600. And the number just kept growing, right? Beyond that, where I was like, this is exhausting. And I mean, it would be like 100, and then like, and I would narrow my search parameters, and it would still. So, and I know that when you first join an app, there's always like an overwhelming number because you're new here, right? And it's like you're the newbie, and so they show your profile more, so you get a lot more. It gets you engaged in the app, right? Like, gets you sucked in. But so I had said, you know, like, oh, well, he didn't even mention anything, you know, like on my profile. And I feel like if he really was good energy, like he would have paid attention and actually responded to my profile. And so this is dialogue in my head. So the universe, I'm telling you, universe has got jokes. Universe is like, all right, fine. We'll show you that's actually not accurate, Jenny. That's not actually the case. And I get a compliment on my picture because on Bumble, the girl has to reach out to the guy first and has to make the first move. But if a guy has like the paid version or whatever, they can compliment a girl's photo, meaning they can leave a comment on the photo. They can make the first move ultimately. And so there was, a compliment on, it was actually my profile, and it was in response to that question. And it was his answer to the question about which hike. And then the answer to the brewery was any of them that has a patio. I was like, well, it's actually like a pretty decent response. But literally looking at the photo, I was like, oh, like the energy, I just could tell I was turned off by the energy. And I was just like, ugh. Okay, touche, universe, touche. I hear you. I see you. Just because they take the time and read it does not mean that it's going to be energy you're attracted to. Just because they don't answer that question does not mean that they don't have good energy that you're attracted to. So hush and trust your gut. And so I did, and we went out and had a wonderful, wonderful time. Super sweet guy. Just, and I know, and I trust my gut, and I know, right? Like, I can tell. It wasn't like with her dad when I first met him, where my friend was like, oh, isn't he so cute? And I'm like, oh, no, I do not think he's attractive at all. And that was my gut. That was literally my gut instinct, my gut reaction, my gut. And instead of listening to that and just trusting that and being like, no thanks, like, not interested. Oh, I shoved it down, ignored it, ended up hanging out with him. Obviously, we ended up having a baby together. He's not in the picture, like, all because I ignored my gut in the beginning and didn't trust it and allowed myself to fall into my old patterns. Like, I 100% believe that was a challenge from the universe. And I'm not going to say I failed it, because I didn't fail it by any means, because I got this beautiful soul out of it. And because I did end up leaving him when things became very toxic. And you know, so with some encouragement from friends and therapists and my therapist and all the things. And so this was nice to just be like, trust your gut. You swiped right on him for a reason. And meeting him in person just completely solidified of like, okay, girl, you're getting there. Like, I'm proud of you for trusting your gut. I'm proud of you for being attracted to somebody like this. Like pat on the back. Like, I have come so far. As I've said, I literally live in a different reality than I did 2 years ago. I live in a different reality than I do a year ago. It's just amazing to see my growth and the hellhole that I've dug myself out of. I mean, literally the toxic, traumatic environment that I grew up in as a child and carried over into my adulthood and my marriage and almost fell back into that trap with, just a year and a half ago, and how far I know, and how far I am now. And I know I owe a lot of it to this beautiful soul, because she doesn't tolerate shit. She does not tolerate certain energy. She is not afraid to speak up about it either, and I love her for that. She is Little Miss Feisty Pants, and it's great. And I know she is a huge part of my healing, and that's the thing, is like, could I have done this without her? I wasn't. Look at what I was still attracting, and look at what I was still, falling for, and her powerful soul coming in and being like, nope, I am clearing out everything. I will not let you be around anyone. And I think that helped to also downregulate my nervous system, especially after, being in that unhealthy relationship. I had gotten back to the point of walking on eggshells for sure. And I mean, like, literally 5 minutes before he would walk into the door, my heart would start racing. Like I had resumed that fight or flight behavior. And this little one really, by not allowing me to be around people, like, I had no desire to be around most people during my pregnancy with her. I couldn't even go to the grocery store. Like, I just, and that's why when my daughter, said, oh, well, mommy, her name's Lily. And I looked it up, and it was purity and innocence. But then, and this isn't a video, the last sentence says, you also don't like to be around many people. And I was like, oh, I have been channeling her energy this whole time. Like, holy powerful soul. So, and like, I went on the date, natural and me, and I did wear a little bit of like brush on sunscreen, but that was it. And I felt great and confident, and yes, it was great. It was exactly what I needed, what I wanted, and it's just nice to see where I'm at. And it was really, really nice to go out on a date. And it's one of those things where I just need to be honest with myself too. I love love. I do. I love love. And I feel like part of my soul's journey, it wants to experience that deep soulmate love. And the way to get there, keep working on myself. Become my own soulmate, right? Like, all that stuff. And also just not allow myself to be treated like in ways that I don't deserve to be, and to find people who do treat me the way that I deserve to be treated. And that's part of learning how to love myself, right? Is saying no to things like my dad yelling in my face and saying, no, sorry, like, I love you, Dad, but no. And being okay with ending those relationships, taking a break, ending it, whatever I need to, honoring that it's okay. And saying goodbye to relationships that I don't feel like treat me as well as I deserve to be treated. And learning, how do I want to be treated? How do I like to be treated? And what makes me feel good and worthy and deserving? And when I feel seen, heard, and validated and valued, and especially if you can challenge me mentally, yes, it's on. And I still really do feel like I'm looking for that per se, and that's why I still do a lot of my own growth. Like with Joe Dispenza, with Nino Morjani, with Gabor Mate, with like those people that like really challenge me and help me grow mentally. So as you know, I digress as always, but just came on here to say like it was just such a good, perfect date. And it was really, really fun to go on a date. So thank you. Like that is just, I feel like that is part of what my soul really does want to experience here on this earth and in this lifetime. And again, like if somebody's here and just wants to be fine and happy being single and that's what makes their soul happy, awesome, good, go for it. But if you're here and you want to find that true love, that soulmate, that partner, then by all means do it. Go out there, date, quote, look for it, date, have fun, see what you like in a partner, see what you don't like, just in friendships, in romantic relationships, in work relationships, work environments, whatever it is, do it. It's okay. And it's okay to, quote, date around as well. Just do what makes you happy. As the amazing Anita Morjani post today, I think it was for her birthday today, she said, like, what's the purpose of life? To come here and eat chocolate. Like, yes, if that is something that just brings you so much joy, then come here and do it and enjoy it. Eat all the chocolate that makes you so happy. Like, just, if it brings you joy, do it. Who cares if people say it's got sugar and it's bad for you and blah, 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 blah. That's their blah, blah, blah. That's not yours. If it brings you joy, do it. Right, baby. If being worn for 95% of your day brings you joy and makes you happy, then incarnate here to a mama who will understand that and do that. All right. I love you. I just of course want to know, what brings you joy? What are you here for? What is your purpose here as in this human experience? What do you think that you're here to experience? Because we chose to be here for a reason, right? What are some of your reasons? Tell me below.